What's going on, guys? Shaykhun Prime here with another Avengers video, or rather more of an Avengers discussion. So, game's been out for about a month now. A lot of people have mixed opinions about it. I personally have been absolutely loving the game, but there are a lot of people out there that aren't. Take Paul Tassi, for example. I'm sure if you keep up with video game journalism in any way, shape, or form, you know who Paul Tassi is. He's a video game writer for Forbes. And before I go into this, let me go on record and say I have absolutely no problem with Paul Tassi whatsoever. I am generally in agreement with a lot of what he writes, and there are going to be certain points that I talk about in this video where I'm going to agree with him 100%. But everybody's entitled to their opinion. There's going to be some things that I talk about that I'm not going to agree with him at all. And he just recently posted this article on Forbes saying Avengers is just too broken to play right now. And this has been on the tip of everybody's tongue for a few weeks. Admittedly, Avengers had quite a rocky launch. Bugs out the yin-yang. I personally was running into a ton of crashing issues on PC and a ton of absolutely horrible frame rates over on the PlayStation 4. These things happen. I understand that. Destiny 1 kind of had the exact same problem. Destiny 2 had a somewhat similar problem. Games as a service is always a rocky mountain to climb, and it doesn't always work out the way that you hope that it would. But ultimately, this does come down to the questions, is Avengers too broken to play at the moment? And my personal opinion is no. However, in this article, he does bring up things that I could definitely agree with him. They need to be looked at. They need to be fixed immediately, because had I ran into these situations, I'd have been very upset as well. And this article tends to be sticking towards a very specific part of the end game. He goes on record to say that the story mode of the game is perfectly fine. You can play that, have a ball, enjoy yourself. But the end game content is where the problems tend to lie. And more specifically in this would be the mega hives. Now, me personally, I have not tackled the mega hives yet. I am waiting until I have a full team up to power level, ready to go before I challenge it. Because I was told that if one of your character falls while doing the mega hive, you cannot use that character for the rest of the duration of the event, and you got to use one of your other teammates. So I've been kind of sitting there just making sure I have a full team ready to go, just in case something happens and, say, Iron Man falls or Captain America falls. And he talks about stuff like, in between floors, the elevators will hit an infinite loading screen and you have to reset the checkpoint. Get to the next floor and no enemies spawn and have to reset the checkpoint. Spawn outside in the open world, and now there's an objective indicator buried several floors underground, and you get stuck, have to quit, and restart. These are very glaring issues. I will agree with this 100%, and Crystal Dynamics definitely needs to take a look at it and fix it and get it all straightened out. And I have no doubt that they will. Crystal Dynamics has really been on top of things as far as like updates and patches and making sure that this game is running as intended. Now, given the state of the world, dealing with the pandemic, a lot of people are working at home. People are not working in the conditions that they're normally used to working with when it comes to working on fixing and repairing a game. So, like, I take that into consideration quite a bit. But something like this, where your premier end-game content is a buggy mess, that's definitely no bueno. You need to get that sorted out, and you need to get it sorted out quickly, because I run a Mega Hive, and I run into the same thing that Paul Tassi did. Oh yeah, you better believe I'm going to be upset. I'm going to be vocally upset about it. But what does this mean for the rest of the game? The rest of the game you can run with virtually no issue. I mean, you can check me out, not to shill my own channel, But you can check me out at twitch.tv/jcoonprime, and I play Avengers all the time, and I very seldom run into issues like this. The worst that I tend to run into is the game would occasionally crash on PC. Or if I'm playing with friends on PC, we would occasionally desync from each other in the middle of a mission and not realize it until the mission's almost over. And then if I'm playing over on the PS4 side of things, the target indicators, like my map says my friend is like 200 meters away. But over on my friend's side, hits the target indicator. Her indicator says I'm only 15 meters away, but we're both on opposite ends of the map. And that can definitely get confusing and frustrating after a while, but that's, honest to God, the worst I've ran into when it comes to playing this game with other people. The only other thing I would touch on right now is I would make loot drops a little more bountiful, I guess you could say. I've heard several people talk about going into mega hives, trying to get an exotic, still haven't gotten exotic. I've heard stories of people going in and getting 3 exotics in one run, while other people have been trying for a couple weeks and still haven't gotten anything. But overall, I think there needs to be a bit of a balance to the loot system. There needs to be a little more reward for effort when it comes to the loot system. Like, even if it means like guaranteed drops at a slightly lower power level, just give us something to look forward to. Don't have us going through a ton of activities just for green and blue gear. Like, I feel like that's kind of horrible. But that's kind of my 2 cents on the whole situation. Games as a service, looter shooters, they tend to live and thrive on drip feed content. Like, this game is not meant to be played every day, all day, unless you are just some insane grind monster that just loves the ever-loving hell out of the grind. These games are not to be meant to be played at that kind of a frequency, which is why you see a lot of content creators who focus on action MMOs or looter shooters, or in this case, a looter beat-em-up style game. They tend to have several games in their arsenal. So, like, for example, they start playing Avengers, and they play all the content in Avengers. And they know new content is coming, but it's not here yet, so while I'm waiting for Avengers to drop new content, hey, Destiny 2 over here just dropped some new content, so I'm going to hop over here for a little bit, and I'm going to play that. And then I'm going to play the Destiny 2 content, and hey, the Division 2 just dropped some content recently, so I've done everything I need to do over here at Destiny. Avengers hasn't released their content yet. I'm going to hop over to the Division and start playing the content over here. And by the time you get to, like, the second or third game number 1 has already, like, has now dropped their content, so it's like, oh, hey, that new content came out, so I'm going to go back over here, and I'm going to play this new content, and the cycle kind of begins again. And that's kind of how these games as a service, these looter shooters, this is how they kind of work. They're kind of meant to be played in spurts. I personally figured this out with Destiny 2 not too long ago with the, I want to say, the most recent season. Yeah, the most recent season. Season of Arrivals. That's it. I had a brain fart. I haven't played Destiny in like a month and a half. But yeah, I kind of figured out, like, that's how Destiny kind of is right now. Like, you're going to have a spurt of content. You play the content. You'll probably get through the content in maybe a day or two. And then, okay, you're done. You're going to sit and wait until there's new content. So you might as well go play something else while you wait. And I really, truly believe this is how these games are meant to work. This is how these games are meant to be enjoyed. And I really think people will get the maximum enjoyment out of these games if they kind of follow that format. So, like, if you like this, that's fine, but keep it in your back pocket until new content comes out and then occupy yourself with something else. I really think that's how this should work. Ultimately, is the game broken, too broken to play? No. But it does need some work, and I am very much confident that Crystal Dynamics Square Enix is going to get everything sorted out, and the game's going to be just fine. People just need to be a little patient. We live in the world of hot fixes, updates, and patches. Like, This is the world we live in now. Having a perfect game come out on release very seldom exists now. So just be patient. Games as a service is a rocky mountain to climb, like I said earlier. Give them time. They've already shown that they're willing to put in the work to fix everything. So give them the time to fix it. Thank you everybody for watching. I appreciate the support. As always, if you like what you see, please hit that subscribe button. You can click the annotations here up on screen right now to check out some of my other content. And I'll be covering any official Avengers news as it gets announced. So if you like that, please stick around. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you later.